Morning everybody, it's Brett here, Lionheart84, your UK-based exotic fruit growing enthusiast. It's Sunday the 17th of November and it's a glorious day. There's not a breath of wind. It's sunny, reasonably blue skies, not warm. It's probably about 7 degrees centigrade, about 45 Fahrenheit, but because there's no breeze it doesn't feel cold at all, and that makes it the sort of perfect day to have a plant inspection, just to check what needs watering, if there's any obvious signs of pests, damaged growth, any new growth. It's something you need to do if you're keeping the plants indoors in winter. Certainly it's worth checking them on a regular basis because the pests can appear very, very quickly. And I'm fortunate with my kitchen that I've got sliding doors that slide all the way across, so it means that as well as the plants at the back, I can get out here and inspect the ones at the front, so I can have a good look and see this passion flower here. This is I think it's Passiflora mellissima, this one. That's a banana passion flower. Had a mealybug infestation which I sprayed a couple of weeks ago in a video. Pretty much looks as if it's okay now. Can't see any, got it in focus, can't see any obvious pests problems with it. But it's a good idea to check the soil, see, I mean, being as these are tropical fruits and they're mostly fully evergreen, you don't want to keep them too wet in winter because of the risk of root rot, but on the other hand you've got to make sure there's some moisture in the soil, because one of the problems you get inside is dry atmosphere. And for example, you can see this long one here, that leaf there is completely dried up. It's probably due to the dry atmosphere. There is some other new growth coming, but it is difficult to keep the growth green at this time of year. Some plants fare better in the dry atmosphere than others. One behind it, there's a rose apple there. It's got some fresh growth on it. That doesn't seem to suffer too much from drying up, and neither does the ice cream bean. New growth on that seems to be okay. This one here is a sapodilla. That's again another full evergreen. But I'm just looking down here, I've got some papaya seedlings that look a little bit sad. Pots don't feel that light, so I don't think they're particularly dry. It's more likely to be just winter dying off. I've got to be careful not to overwater these because they are extremely prone to rotting off in winter, so I don't think a little bit of leaf loss is going to be a major problem unless they get some rot from the top. Most of this stuff here, that's still damp. These cherimoya seedlings are very thirsty. They'll probably need some more water. The leaf browning at the bottom was a little bit of scorch, not a serious problem. These are my Tamarillo seedlings. They're doing very well and they're in a very small pot, so I need to water those very regularly. But some plants do better inside than others. The guavas seem to be quite tolerant of the dry atmosphere. The ones that seem to do best are the various custard apples and cherimoyas. This one's got a fair bit of new growth coming on it already. That's one where I had to trim back a couple of stems. The guava I pruned back heavily. It's got loads of new shoots coming out on it already. Again, they're very tough. Just checking you need to check, make sure you do check your soil dampness, because they don't want to be too wet, but they mustn't be too dry because they are tropicals. And you probably saw in the video from a couple of weeks ago, I have got a moisture meter which I use in the bigger pots, because sometimes the top of the pot looks bone dry and then you put the moisture meter in 3 inches down, it's wet. Looks like there's plenty of growth still on my rootstock lychee. That's doing quite well. Yeah, can't see any obvious pest problems. It's worth having a quick look over the plants and just inspecting the underneath the leaves, see if you've got any problems with thrips or spider mites, scale insect. They're particularly problems on the citrus. Tend to get some thrips on the guavas in winter. Had quite a bad infestation last year. If it's just one or two, you can just squash them. But if you start to get a largish infestation, then it's well worth spraying them. But it's just something to do that when you get a bit of spare time and a nice day, whether in a greenhouse or you've got them in your house, you do need to inspect the plants. Try and do it on a weekly basis, because once the pests get hold with them all sort of very close to each other, it can be a serious problem. Yeah, this is my seedling cherimoya I pruned back before I bought it inside in that video about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's absolutely shooting out everywhere. And they have a very interesting growth habit, the cherimoyas, very unlike a lot of other fruits, because the buds don't come from the axils of the leaves. So if you ever look at one closely and you look in the leaf axils, which isn't easy to see on camera, there are no see if I can get that to focus or not. It's easier said than done. Can't get it to focus clear enough. They don't have buds in the leaf axils at all. So the buds actually form underneath the leaf axils. Can never get the thing to focus in properly so I can show you. But when the leaves drop off, the buds form where the leaf stalks were attached to the stems. It's very unlike most other plants like the guavas and various other tropicals. The buds come from the actual leaf axil, but on the cherimoyas and the other members of the family, might be able to see on this one a little bit better. When the buds are ready to develop, you could just about see, sorry it's out of focus, but you can see all the leaves there, and where a leaf's dropped off, there's actually a bud forming underneath what was the leaf stalk. So that's their usual growth habit. And for the ones that drop their leaves in the spring, they need to drop all the leaves, because then all the new side shoots come out. Anyway, that's a short inspection of the condition of tropicals. I've noticed here that this passion, you can see this one here, probably here is extremely limp, so that's obviously far too dry, so I'm going to give that a dose of water in a minute, and then we'll get on to making the next video. Anyway, that's me out now for now. Thanks for watching. Welcome to click like, share, subscribe to my channel if there's anything that I do that interests you, and obviously hit the bell if you'd like to see when I post videos in the future. Thanks for watching. Brett out.